Hey tubers, did you know that most Canadians actually have a first name that begins with Justin? Like Justin Credible, Justin Bieber, and our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, who was just in Washington.
Let country play in the USA. Yeah, just me and my baby. Starting on a red dirt road to the open highway, passing those trucks on the interstate, through the Mississippi mud to the Georgia line.
Hey, YouTube RV fans, got some good Justin news. Justin Bieber is actually having a concert in Vancouver tonight, so everybody in Los Angeles, you can just breathe. The streets are safe. Everything's good. You can let your kids out. Your teenage girls can walk around without screaming, because they're all up here screaming. So that's Canada's gift to you Americans, to invite Bieber home for a couple days. You know, it's the Canadian thing to do. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, the other Canadian thing that we've been doing is our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, was of course hosted for the first time in nearly 20 years at a state dinner held by your President Obama. Now, regardless of your political affiliation, the most important thing I think about Canadian-U.S. relations is that we just get along. And I think that's a good thing, because neighbors should get along whether you're countries or people, and I think that's a good thing. But there's this big Trubama, as they call it, bromance going on, and since the White House footage is technically in the public domain, I'm going to share some of the bromantic highlights for you American folks that may not have seen it, because this is all over the media here, and I know even there's a lot of media coverage about them, I think in the New York Times and whatnot. But for those of you who missed it, here's the highlights.
Good morning, everybody. Bonjour. On behalf of the American people, on behalf of Michelle and myself, it is my honor to welcome to the United States Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Mrs. Gregoire Trudeau, their beautiful children, and the quite good-looking Canadian delegation. And that's why today we are very proud to welcome the first official visit by a Canadian Prime Minister in nearly 20 years. It's about time, eh? Now, I don't want to gloss over the very real differences between Americans and Canadians. There's some things we will probably never agree on. Whose beer is better? Who's better at hockey?
Don't get me started.
Where's the Stanley Cup right now? I'm sorry. Is it in my hometown with the Chicago Blackhawks? In case you were wondering. In case you Canadians were wondering, where is it? And this visit is special for another reason. Nearly 40 years ago, on another March morning, another American president welcomed another Canadian Prime Minister here to the White House. That day, Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau said that the United States is Canada's best friend and ally. And one of the reasons he said is that we have a common outlook on the world. Today, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau carries on this work. As Prime Minister, your election and the first few months in office have brought a new energy and dynamism not only to Canada but to the relationship between our nations. We have a common outlook on the world, and I have to say I have never seen so many Americans so excited about the visit of a Canadian Prime Minister.
Mr. President, First Lady, distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this extraordinary welcome. Thank you so much for inviting Sophie and me, and through us, all of Canada, to join with you on this spectacular morning. Thank you very much. Sophie and I, along with our entire delegation, are honored and touched by your magnificent hospitality and by the reinforcement of just how powerful you are, Mr. President, to organize such a perfect day for us. And speaking of exports, we know with certainty that there's a high demand for Canadian goods down here. A few that come to mind that President Obama just rightly recognized as being extraordinary contributors to the American success story is Jonathan Toews, Duncan Keith, and Patrick Shark of the Chicago Blackhawks.
Well, once again, I want to welcome Prime Minister Trudeau to the White House. We just completed a very productive meeting, although I regret to inform you that we still have not reached agreement on hockey. But it is not interfering with the rest of our bilateral relationship.
As I've reflected on the storied relationship between our two great countries, I constantly return to President Kennedy's wise words in our friendship that what unites us is far greater than what divides us. And as President Obama mentioned earlier, if geography made us neighbors, then shared values made us kindred spirits, and it is our choices, individually and collectively, that make us friends.
Just me and my face.